Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Reed, Juris Doctor, Small Business Development, IT, and Marketing Guru from sunny Victoria, BC. Follow me for new podcasts on beginner investing in business as I survive, grow, and prosper in a post-COVID Canada. Disclaimer: my podcast and YouTube content offer very generalized information that has been beneficial to me. Always do your homework and due diligence and make sure that any moves you make are in your own best interest. Nothing in my content is any kind of advice, and continuing to listen constitutes acceptance of this disclaimer in its entirety. Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of my podcast series, 100 Wealth Hacks, that I personally use. Part 3 is numbers 21 through 30. Number 21, max sold online auctions. Okay, you can Google this, find out what it is. Max sold online auctions. So watching these can yield incredible deals on gifts and other things that you might want. In these auctions, you will bid on items, and if you win, you'll pick them up on the pickup day at the designated time. Now, I'm not advocating wasting money here, but some entertainment, rewards, shopping are necessary to many to help them enjoy life and prosper. I'm frugal, but I work hard, and if I want to spend $10 to $30 per se out of my spending budget on the rare occasion, so be it. Note, this may force me to sacrifice something else, like a pizza night or something, and that's just the way it goes. I'm okay with that, right? Max sold online auctions are a fun and exciting way to bid responsibly, possibly competing at the same time, which can be fun for some. And sometimes your bids will support local charities, or always, in my personal case. Number 22, protect your identity, protect your credit. Let me tell you now, Canada is one of the worst so-called first world countries in terms of protecting its citizens from credit and identity fraud. There is no way in Canada to freeze your credit to prevent inquiries and new credit lines. In the US, this is a simple matter. In Canada, not so much. And the punishment in Canada for identity fraud is a mere $5,000 fine with an optional 2-year less a day in jail. And I will tell you, as someone with a 4-year degree in criminology, that due to the low risk of getting caught and the relatively mild punishment, identity thieves are unlikely to be deterred. Now, most provinces, including BC, don't even have mandatory fraud alert, where the banks and the companies will at least call you to see if you authorize the inquiry, right? So you can request this from the credit bureau, and then the provinces tell the banks and companies they don't need to actually listen to that request. But you can set this up for free for a year with evidence of fraud via Experian and TransUnion, the two Canadian credit bureaus, separately. But since most provinces don't require the banks and companies to actually obey, well, kind of useless. So then what? I'll tell you what I do. It's the only possible way that I see to even have a chance here: vigilance. So I will use the free creditkarma.ca monitoring system. Creditkarma with a K.ca monitoring system. Now, karma has the K, not credit. The app will alert me when anyone files an inquiry with TransUnion. So I get the alert right away, at least, right? Then, to dispute this, you have to go through the tedious process of contacting TransUnion Canada and going through their forms to authenticate you. And then you have to go and do the same thing with Equifax Canada, which is a little bit easier with Equifax. So say they've applied to a Scotiabank and they managed to get an account in your name because of the lack of verification that Scotiabank does, allegedly. Then you will also likely have to visit that bank or company that the false inquiry was filed at in person. This effort is exhausting and horrible, and my deepest sympathies to those attacked. Remember, though, you must make these efforts. You must do whatever it takes to protect yourself. You must go to the bank and deal with all this. Um, so, one suggestion, one tip, try to vote for politicians that don't need an assistant to turn on their computer. John Horgan. Uh, Also, politicians from planet Earth are encouraged. Cough, Trudeau. Okay. Number 23. Learn to do things on your own. One new thing a month, perhaps. Good timeline. It's good for your brain and for your soul, but also you can save money. Examples. Anyone can learn to replace the air filter in their gas car. And in many cars, you can do your own wipers, lights, even spark plugs. Ooh. Haircuts, sewing repairs, small household repairs, computer and technology things. Much of that is easily learnable. There are many people with the same issues out there that have already found solutions and have posted those solutions for all to benefit from. Word of caution, weigh your risks first. Replacing a screen on a laptop, for example, it could be a tough job. If you can't risk losing the computer, then take it to a professional where you will have better chances of success and their work will hopefully be warranted, right? Always assess your risks. Number 24, learn the laws that apply to you. So you run a hot dog stand, know the applicable laws so you can always measure your risks accurately. Applying the law to fact patterns, that is the traditional realm of lawyers, maybe paralegals too, but you still can and should empower yourself by learning the laws of your business, your area, your neighborhood, the road, the properties you own or plan to own. Your mind is theoretically infinite in its capacity to store knowledge, so you might as well use it. And one final tip, collect and organize these legal and other resources either on the computer or by paper, because your mind might trigger the memory reference, and then it's ideal and important to go back and review the law itself carefully to make sure that your memory and limited use of that law and application is accurate. Reminder, that's not advice. Always consult a lawyer if you need application of a law to a fact pattern. Wink. Number 25, contacts equal contracts. This may be the most important hack out of these 100 wealth hacks. And sadly, it might be the most likely to be dismissed. So, this saying came to me via Grant Cardone. Whether you love him or hate him, you can watch him crush poverty on the show Undercover Billionaire, where he was given $100, an empty burner phone, and an old truck. And he made a business in 90 days that was appraised at $5.6 million. And he did a lot of that by networking, going out there, making contacts, right? Contacts equals contracts, networking, a lost art that has become even more difficult during COVID times. But it is so essential to every career, to every business, to wealth itself. You must build contacts of all types. Be a resource to those contacts, and they will be a resource to you. All the education in the world is absolutely useless without the right contacts. I will dedicate yet another podcast specifically to networking techniques, but here's a tip. If you're an introvert like myself, or even remotely shy, do something to create an opening for extroverts to start a conversation with you. Something colorful, perhaps, or a shirt that merits comment. Something flashy that can start a conversation. You would be surprised how effective this technique can be. For example, I have a t shirt that says, I accept Bitcoin, that my dear friend bought for me. It's got a big Bitcoin symbol on it. So people have literally shouted from 100 meters away in support of Bitcoin. Why not? Okay. Just create an opening. Be creative. Number 26, protect your data, protect your credit cards. Many of you may be calling me Captain Obvious right now, but listen here. Too many people are doing this wrong, And as someone considered very knowledgeable about cybersecurity, I can provide a few potentially illuminating tips. Tip number one: having to get a new credit card number because of fraud can be recorded on your credit report as closing and opening a new account, right? So this can be devastating to your credit score, especially if you're in the middle of rebuilding it, right? So to find out for sure, you can ask your credit card issuer whether the new card will appear as a new trade line on your credit report and whether your credit history will list the account's age as that of the new card or the old one. However, until you know it won't, then that risk is very valid, right? This is a risk that you can take steps to avoid because you don't want to damage your credit score by having to replace your credit card because some hacker has gotten the number. So take all possible precautions, such as the one in this tip number two. Longer passwords are harder to crack. So use a variety of symbols, some capital letters, some numbers, and do not use words of any kind in there. Use a variety of passwords by adding the first letter of the place in the end, right? So here's an example. So your password is, lowercase d, capital Z, 139, question mark, semicolon, dollar sign. Then you would add this lowercase w at the end for your WealthSimple password, or a lowercase t at the end for your Tangerine password. So you can memorize that first part, and okay, I'm logging into Bank of America, I need a lowercase b. I'm logging into TD, I need a lowercase td um, at the end, right? That way, so some IT people might suggest even more caution, right? And they'll want you to have a totally individual and unique password for everything. And I get that. And there might be situations that warrant that. But if you end up writing your passwords on paper, that adds up to another risk that you have just added. I don't care if it's in a safe or hidden in a pile of papers on your desk or in an empty book safe or something like that. It doesn't matter, right? Somebody could get a hold of that paper and have all of your passwords at once. And this happens more often than your actual password getting hacked. So, if you can have one core password memorized and then a system to add variety, then you can avoid the risk of a password paper being seen, lost, or stolen. Tip three: set up two-factor authentication for the important stuff: email, banks, Google, Apple, and Microsoft accounts, for starters. Anything where you have personal data, and that includes everything that requires your birthday or more to sign up. Tip number four here: monitor your cards, monitor your credit, use that credit karma. It goes with the previous wealth hack. Tip five: use a card theft proof wallet. So these theft tools have become cheaper, more commonplace, but so it's easier for people to get your numbers. The protection has become cheaper too. So it's $20 or $30 for an anti-theft wallet. It's just basically a strip of metal that keeps them from scanning your card number from your card's chip. So it is worth the money to get that kind of wallet for cards that you're carrying outside of the house. Number 27, pay less taxes. Yes. Yes, workers pay the most taxes, as much of the money that they make is taxed, then much of the money that they spend is taxed, and then everything in between is also taxed, right? And the wealthy pay the least amount of taxes in comparison, right? So they save money on what they spend, they use that to offset what they make, and they end up paying very little taxes, especially relative to the amount of money that they have. So, to preserve your wealth, you must head in the direction of paying less taxes and less tax filing expenses. So, although how you do this will be mostly unique to you, here are a few general tips, right? So, claim your deductions, right? Like mileage and networking costs, right? You can deduct that restaurant bill from a networking event, so save your receipts for that, right? Pay money into your RRSP, right? Your registered retirement savings plan account. This will generate a tax deduction. Um, and uh, hold your capital gains in your RRSP and your TFSA accounts, right? So you're making money off stocks, they're growing, you're getting dividends and stuff. If you can, keep those in your tax-free accounts so that you're not being charged for those capital gains even when you sell the stocks. Okay. Limit the rebalancing of long-term investment accounts to minimize realized capital gains, right? So say you have so much money that you're opening up a personal investment account. That's congratulations, by the way. You've maxed out your RRSP, you've maxed out your TFSA, and you have a personal one. Okay. But in that one, that's where you keep your super long term stuff. Because right now, it's not a capital gain unless you sell it as a gain. So if you just have some Tesla in there that just keeps going up over 10 years and it's boosting your net worth, fantastic, right? Leave it there. Don't sell it. Don't realize that capital gain. And very importantly, strict bookkeeping, receipt keeping, so you and your accountant can calculate accurately and be subsequently prepared for audit defense if necessary. But above all, if you want lower taxes, vote for the politicians most likely to actually lower them. In other words, in Canada, don't vote NDP, Liberal, or Green. It's sad because they all have wonderful dreams and beautiful goals that, my heart might agree with, but they will pay for the mismanagement of those dreams and goals with your money. No way, no way. Conservatives and libertarians claim they will reduce and eliminate taxes, but do your due diligence on the individual politician and make your vote count. Beware of tax cuts for the uber rich at the expense of beginning and intermediate investors. You see that quite a lot from these conservatives. Unacceptable. Once you vote them in, hold them accountable. It's your civic duty. Number 28, waste less time. Rest is important. I get that. But lying on the couch in damaging positions, playing on your phone, that is not quality rest. That is literally harmful. Reduce pointless phone minutes surfing, right? At least be learning something, even if you can't move because you're so physically exhausted, as I often am at the end of my day job every day, which is a feeling I love. But learn something, right? Learn another language, learn about stocks and investing, about history. There's so much out there. Fill your brain. Fill your brain with it, even if it's an idle learning process, right? Like watching a history documentary. So if you can move, tidy up, stay clean, knock some items off the to-do list, and especially stretch and do yoga every single day. This might seem obvious to all, but are you truly using your time as efficiently as possible? It is all connected: our bodies, our minds, our health, and our subsequent prosperity. Number 29, indulge less frequently. Another patently obvious hack, but one often ignored, and one that I'm occasionally still working on myself. If you're a foodie, for example, and you go out twice a week, cut it down to once a week, right? If it's once a week, do it every 2 weeks. If you like to have a nice Sunday drive, every second Sunday, go for it. The money you save here will help you build the life that will allow you near unlimited indulgence. If, of course, at that point, you can break these good habits that you have instilled in yourself. I mean, when you have all the money that you need to live independently and not be caught in financial slavery, then go ahead and enjoy it, right? That's the time for that. Wealth hack number 30. Take advantage of free food, snacks, refreshments, etc. at work and events, right? This is pretty much the only way I ate at law school. I'm sure we all have those stories, right? There was zero leftover money for food after other living expenses and trying to pay for $600-700 textbooks. And although I was often earning money on the side, which was harmful for my academic career, but necessary, I got involved as much as I could with anything I could get involved with that I cared about. Student government, honor court, I was in everything. And generally, if there is a meeting with food, say at your current job or something like that, don't hold back. Eat until you're full. Store it in your gut like a chipmunk storing nuts in their cheek. Okay, considering your diet and everything like that. But seriously, eat. Take advantage of it. if that's the right choice for you, right? Because obviously, if you have an unlimited supply of free food, restrain yourself. I've been there once. I had a roommate that worked at a pizza place and would bring home 9 to 10 pizzas every night, and it was less is more when it comes to pizza, right? So restrain yourself if that's the case. If you have unlimited supply, like I did back then, but if you have a sporadic supply, right, you're only getting a meeting every week or two that just happens to be catered. Get yours. Eat, right? Eat a variety of food. Even if you don't like the way it tastes, right? Get a couple exotic things, some vegetables. Get that diet variety as long as it's healthy for you. That food will often be disposed of if you don't eat it. So you can also add the benefit of helping the environment to saving more money for investing. So concludes the third podcast in the series, 100 Wealth Hacks I Personally Use. Only 70 more to go. Until then, happy saving and always buy the dip.
Do you have any Instagrams you would like to share with us before you go?
Get the latest real-time updates from my Instagram at Canada Stock Market. At Canada Stock Market.
Hi there. If you are interested in making a podcast of your own, let me tell you how I did it. I used a program called Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Check out my entire catalog of podcasts completely free at anchor.fm/Canada Stock Market. Anchor.fm/Canada Stock Market.